Three, two, one. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Failure Friday, where we talk to my friends, clients, and complete strangers about how failure has shaped them professionally, personally, and how they've become better people because of it. And today we have a good friend and a client, Miss Rebecca, with us. Rebecca is a award-winning psychiatrist based out of Jacksonville, Florida. And she's also a member of the same CEO focus group that Benna, our last week's interviewee, is a part of, a group that I'm so thankful for, and that Rebecca actually introduced me to initially. Again, so thankful for that introduction. And I'm going to let Rebecca take the stage and tell us a little bit more about what she does and how she got into this field. Thanks for being here, Rebecca.
Hi there. Thank you for having me. My name is Rebecca Farinas, and I am a psychiatrist here in Jacksonville. I have been practicing psychiatry for about 14 years on my own, and I guess with all my years of training, been doing this for about 22 years.
Gosh, has it been that long?
Yeah, it has. It's hard to believe. I did not plan on practicing psychiatry when I decided to pursue medicine. It was the last thing I ever imagined myself doing. But I would say I came to it because it was what felt right, but it was also a series of failures that brought me to it. And it was definitely what was absolutely my heart's calling.
Well, what was your first choice? I didn't know this.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be a surgeon, and I had my heart set on being a surgeon. And when I was trying to get into medical school, I had the very good fortune of learning to do surgery with a researcher who taught me to do cardiothoracic surgery on sheep prior to getting into medical school. And during that period of time, I learned, while trying to stitch on a beating heart, that one, I freeze under pressure, which is not a good thing to do in the OR.
I know.
No, it's not. But I learned that quickly. And I also learned, while I can stitch a straight line beautifully, there are many more things in surgery than stitching a straight line on something that's not moving.
Is the sheep okay?
They were eventually. The principal investigator was an excellent surgeon. I was not. But what I learned from that was that I'm not surgery material. And that was really good to know. And I was so thankful I learned that before med school, because I would have been devastated to
So what did you do? What was your emergency, your fight or flight reaction that made you realize?
I freeze. I freeze. I freeze.
Like you just froze with a beating heart in your hand and just went dead, basically.
Well, what happens? I was supposed to be placing a tube in the heart to measure pressures, and when you put something in a heart that's beating and there's blood circulating through it, you need to stitch it up really quickly. And when you freeze and you're not stitching, blood's gushing, and that's not a good thing. So I just was clearly not doing what I needed to do, and the surgeon was very keen to watch me because I was new, and he just moved me aside gently and took over, and it was very, and he taught me so much. He was so gentle and so kind and so patient with me, but it didn't get much better. I mean, my skills got better, but I still, when things get really hairy, even with psychiatric patients, which is a good thing with psychiatric patients, not reacting is a really good thing.
Right. That makes sense.
In surgery, it's still not a good thing to not react. In surgery, it's still a really good thing to react. In psychiatry, it's not. So my propensity to not react serves me really well in my chosen field. It's, still not good.
How long did it take you to redirect from surgery to psychiatry? And what was the avenue that brought you there?
So I knew pretty quickly, well, it's not going to be psychiatry, or it's not going to be surgery.
Right.
I didn't think it was going to be psychiatry, even when I started med school. Pretty much because I was seeing a psychiatrist, I was seeing a mental health professional for my own needs, and one of the things that I noticed was that it seemed like a number of the people I was seeing seemed to not seem to have a lot of self-knowledge, and it didn't appear that they were actively seeking counsel from outside individuals. And I thought, well,
when you say that, do you mean self-awareness or just knowledge in their field, like they weren't growing in their field?
They didn't seem like they had a lot of self-awareness.
Okay, that's different.
It was. And maybe I just didn't have a lot of good fortune with the individuals I saw, but that was my experience. And so I thought, well, okay, so I don't belong in that club because I'm getting help, and the sense that I got was they were doing what they were doing to not look at themselves. And I didn't. I didn't. And I still feel like there's a fair number of individuals in the business doing that. But I didn't feel like that pertained to me. So I thought, well, I'll find something else I want to do. And there were lots of other things in medicine that I thought I wanted to do. And then I started doing them, and I realized, nope, I don't like this. And I started, looking at the different specialties, and I started working my way through them, all the different ones I thought I was really interested in. And there were just certain things about each one that that didn't fit, that didn't feel good, that didn't feel right. I didn't enjoy. And I was getting really worried. And I thought, God, what am I going to do? Like, I've always wanted to be a doctor, like since I was 8. Do I finish this up and, go to law school and do public policy or something? And then my very first day on my psychiatric rotation, I walked onto the psych ward, and I knew I was home. It just was right. I was home. Not because like home was crazy, but not that it wasn't, but it was just like putting my hand in a glove that was just made for me. And I've never looked back. So.
I wonder, going back to what you said before, how many psychiatrists or psychologists even actually seek help for themselves? That is a curious question. I wonder how common that is.
I don't know that enough do. I don't know.
Because you're in such a unique field. What you deal with, what you see every day it could be traumatic in a way, right?
I think it depends on the venue. I think it depends on the person. I think it depends on how you practice. Yes and no. I think there, before I started doing, when I was still in college, I worked at Wilson Children's Hospital in the pediatric oncology floor. Oh. And everyone was like, oh my God, that's so devastating. Children with cancer. And they're kids that are very alive with an illness that we're treating. They're kids. They were, and most of them got better. And it's they were very alive. It wasn't devastating. The parents, of course, had to come to terms with it. But when I was working with them, I was working with kids that were kids.
And just wanted to be kids.
Yeah, it wasn't devastating. They were just kids. And my patients are patients that have lives to live that just are doing their best. And some days are better than others, like all of us. So,
When you went from surgery, how many different specialties did you go through? Like, what was your one where you're like, okay, well, surgery might not be it, but this has to be it. That wasn't psychiatry. Because I'm not aware of, what are all the different directions you can go in?
Oh my gosh, there's so many specialties. I really thought I wanted to do obstetrics and gynecology. I went to South Africa and learned to deliver babies.
Oh, wow.
I did that for an entire summer. That was where I learned no.
What about that freaked you out?
I don't like causing people pain. And very little about obstetrics and gynecology leaves a woman feeling refreshed.
I think that's a valid point.
Very little about that experience has many socially redeeming qualities. So it hurts. And so I don't care what you're doing. Then feel good. And then, let's couple that with practicing in Umtata General Hospital in the Republic of Transkei, 4 years outside of apartheid and an old homeland, it wasn't pretty. So it was a little scarring. I watched, babies fall out of women. So that was fun. Oh. And I was like, no. Even though I won't be seeing a lot of that, though I did see that in Galveston, Texas at UTMB in the prison hospital, babies fall out of women, when they'd had, 17 kids and babies were falling out of them.
17?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there was that.
That's hard.
I know. So, I was just like, no, I don't think no, not so much. But what I learned from that was I really like to teach. I like to teach. I like the teaching part of women's health. And I like the teaching part of pediatrics and family medicine and internal medicine and stuff like that. And there's a lot of teaching in what I do in psychiatry.
For sure.
So, if you do it well.
So you're talking about teaching the patient.
Yeah,
not
like
necessarily
teaching.
colleagues.
Well, yeah, most colleagues, would they, yeah, most, I mean, lots of colleagues want to know, and if they want to know, I'm happy to teach them too. But patients and family members, more than anything, they really benefit from knowing. So, yeah. So I thought pain management would also be really good because I don't like to see people in pain. But most of what you have to do to get people out of pain requires inflicting pain. So I did, because like a lot of it's interventional, like, injections, things like that. So that kind of thing.
Okay, so you truly went down a lot of different roads before you came to psychiatry.
I really tried to avoid psychiatry. Yeah.
But what's interesting is that you avoided it almost because you didn't think you were worthy of it. It sounds like, because you felt like I'm a consumer of psychiatry.
Yeah, I did. I was like, no, I'm kind of, I guess. Yeah, I thought, no, I'm like, I'm one of them. So yeah,
But I mean, to someone on the outside that you're telling this to, it almost certainly would be a consumer who would be the ideal practitioner.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very open. I mean, all of my patients will tell you, yeah, like she kind of leads with that. I mean, I'm very open with all of my patients. Like, yes, I have my own drink.
I think that's refreshing.
And I'm very open about, So what you may feel with this medication is this, because that's what I felt when I took it. And just so
that feels good.
Oh yeah,
we call that eating your own cooking.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Like, I had some serious tremors when I took that, but they'll pass or they won't pass, and
I slept for
how you deal with
7 days after I took this, but when I woke up, I felt great.
Exactly. Like, careful with the mascara when you take this, because you could stab yourself in the eye. So that kind of thing. So, yeah.
So I'm curious where you're going to pull I'm assuming you're going to use a professional failure. Feel free to use a personal one too if you're comfortable, but where are you pulling that from? Were you already in psychiatry? Was it before psychiatry? Elaborate on that.
Well, I mean, I would say, definitely, like, I mean, there have been so many failures and I'm really okay with that too. But like, failing as, a surgeon certainly helped me, get here. And then once in psychiatry, once I started practicing, when I was prior to medical school, when I was still in college, I started at Wilson Children's Hospital. And then while I was in training in residency and fellowship, I was recruited to work my first professional job as a child and adolescent psychiatrist back at Wilson Children's Hospital. Well, actually, at Baptist Medical Center as an outpatient psychiatrist for the Baptist Medical Center. And that kind of came full circle, brought me back to Jacksonville from Texas, where I did my training. My husband's family's here, so that was good for us.
Shout out to Fern.
Yeah, my very sweet, wonderful husband, who he was my undergrad study partner, helped me get into medical school. And it was good to come back. And I really thought that I was going to be with the Baptist system forever. But it really kind of became an unpleasant and difficult working situation because of some of the ways administration handled a variety of situations. And I
like payroll, patient care.
A number of different things. And I was very careful to document what was going on very thoroughly. And I felt like I contacted all the right people and had all of my sort of evidence of the difficulties that I was having to put those troubles behind me such that I could move forward and practice without those challenges anymore. And instead, what happened, much to my utter dismay, was my contract was not renewed with Baptist. And that was after being with him for 5 years. And I had like stellar reviews. That was the year that I was like one of Jacksonville's top docs in psychiatry and child and adolescent psychiatry.
Wow.
For like, I think the second year in a row. So it was kind of mystifying. And I knew that it was retaliatory.
How did you know that?
Because it didn't make sense. It didn't, because my what I had put together was never looked at. Because had it been looked at, that wouldn't have happened. But there was nothing I could do. And because I was a contract employee, it, like, the person that the person in question stayed, and I didn't. And the person in question wasn't like a clinician, and it just didn't make sense. So for me, that was it. It was a failure in the sense of I thought I was doing the right thing, but it turned out it wasn't. And so I sought out legal counsel, and I ended up with a settlement that allowed me and Baptist provided me with a settlement that allowed me to open my practice.
Well, that's a beautiful ending. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
But this is actually the core of this issue that I want to talk more about is actually an incredibly valuable information. How do you approach what is right versus wrong in the traditional sense? It's easy to say always do the right thing, but right versus wrong when you get involved in the politics of a corporate job or a big corporation like the one we're talking about is not always so black and white. So what you thought you were doing was of course. Right. I mean, there's almost like it's a game, right? Right. So looking back now, what would you do differently? Well,
I it's interesting. I don't know that I would do anything differently because I knew that, and they knew that they knew that I wasn't in the wrong. And this is where I learned to negotiate, because I was able to write my letter to all of my clients and take them all with me and tell them exactly where I was going. And with the address of my new location, and Baptist mailed it to them on their dime.
Wow. How'd you get that?
It was part of the settlement.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So then it sounds like we're not going to name specific names, obviously, but okay. I want this to be something that's valuable to our viewers. It sounds like it was an issue with a specific colleague, and you were documenting, and then you gave that almost to the wrong people, or maybe was there a correct person to give it to?
I went straight to the top. I mean, I did it by the book. I went straight to the top. I went to general counsel. I went to everybody, and I had to send her a copy. I had to. Why
did you have to?
Because you can't say this person, is a problem and not let this person know that you're complaining about them.
Oh, I didn't know if you had to do that because of the way it's structured, or.
Yeah, you have to, basically. I mean, when you're working in an organization, you kind of have to.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long did you document grievances?
Oh, they went back a couple years. I mean, it went all the way. It went all the way back to destroying my records. And those are legal documents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it a superior or colleague? You said it wasn't even a clinician.
So this person was the thing that was so maddening about it was the hierarchy. There was the physicians. The physicians were and maybe still are, I don't know, were governed by a psychologist, and which is unusual.
Sounds like it.
And then that person answered to a social worker.
Wait.
Yeah. So it made a lot of sense, and so it was
the logic.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah,
Can you help me make that make sense?
No, there's no way to make sense of it. I would, call my mother, who's been in, the medical profession, run the medical, professions for 50 years now, would just rip her hair out when I would call her up.
And these are management roles.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. That's different.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ordinary, to be honest, for anyone I wouldn't take that as a status quo administration hierarchy. That's quite unique. So it's interesting when I do this podcast, when people are talking about what their perceived failures are, it's always a little bit foreign to me to interpret, because obviously you did everything right in that situation. I can only guess as to why you view that as a failure, because it wasn't a toxic work environment, except maybe for this person and the way it was being handled, but you loved what you were doing.
Oh, I loved it.
You were excelling.
I loved it. I think for me, it was, I guess it was I think I calculated so poorly. I was really floored when what I thought when I thought right was supposed to happen and right didn't happen. And then what that meant was that I then had to become a business owner, and becoming a business owner was not what I wanted to do. I wanted to practice medicine and just practice medicine. And while I do enjoy my autonomy as a business owner, I enjoy the autonomy I have as a business owner. There is a certain glee I have in thinking, I'm gonna change out all the rugs, and I make it so I don't have to.
I thought you were gonna say.
I'm just saying I don't have to put in a work order and wonder when it's gonna happen.
Like bringing your dog to work.
Oh, well, I can bring my dog to work every day. I love that. He's laying here right now. He's laying here right beside me.
Oh, show us real quick. Let's take a quick commercial break.
Oh, can you see? Well, can you see him?
Yes.
There he is. So yes. I love those freedoms, but the work, like it's 3 full-time jobs instead of 1.
Oh, definitely.
That's hard.
I like that you said that, because Benna and I talked last week about, and it's why I started this podcast, is don't lose people in the process. And I started this podcast because the last 2 years, and I'm thankful for this too, but it's just been so much growth that I'm constantly having to read about how to scale, how to adapt the newest technology, refining my client onboarding process. And that's not why I love my job.
Right,
so it was less and less time I was doing so I'm growing, I'm making more money, but I was less happy.
Right.
And that's why I started this. And everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Everybody wants to own their own business. But what they don't realize is owning your own business is like you're doing what you love, but then you're also taking on a whole nother full-time job. And that's where 75% of the time you have no idea what the hell you're doing. And you're managing other people, you're managing yourself, and you're expected to grow.
Well, and okay, so
it's overwhelming.
I never even so much as had like Econ 101 or I've still never balanced a checkbook. I do review my bank statements every month. I review all my bank statements. I review all my credit card statements.
And your investment statements.
And I review those damn things too. I look at those every damn month. But it is, and then the HR. Fuck that HR. The HR is so hard.
Don't get me started. I can't even talk about it because SEC and FINRA is probably looking at it right now. Girl, I hear you.
But and think everything that's holy. We're talking, Mark. 2 years. 2 years without staff. 2 years. They're going to leave me. They're here. They're listening in. Oh my gosh. So but we're talking about the pain I went through prior to that happening. People stealing from me and family working for me. Oh gosh, the worst. So, again, and what am I doing tomorrow and Friday and Sunday? I'm painting my office. Yeah, because, it's Thanksgiving. What else am I going to do? Paint my office.
Wait, what color are you going to do? I like the lime bright green.
I'm going to go a couple of shades lighter because I just need to brighten it up. So.
Okay, that's going to look good.
Yeah, I think it will. Yep. So it's been 9 years that color. So, it's time.
It's been 9 years since you've had a paint job?
Well, that color, yeah.
Wow.
Because, I painted it. So, hello.
You painted it that whole thing the first time?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't paint my own office. So you all know that. You don't have to do that.
Oh, good.
So what could someone earlier on in their journey, but on the same path, learn from the specific failure that you've chosen to talk about? And I think the one I want you to really hone in on this answer because you picked a really good failure.
So I think what they could learn is to seek more counsel before acting.
Did you not do that at all?
I did do that. But the people that I talked to were insiders.
Okay. So I think more value to that answer would be always have counsel outside of your chosen job, mm-hmm. like your direct report in the same industry, of course, ideally.
Right, but outside, absolutely outside. Mm-hmm.
That's really good advice. And I think sometimes that's hard to do, right? Because in certain industries, certainly mine, a mentor that would be in Jacksonville would also be my competition. So it's probably similar in your industry, right?
Well, it's interesting. So, I mean, it's so funny. I mean, competition where good psychiatrists are concerned, there is no competition. I mean, if you're a good psychiatrist, you are gonna have people. I mean,
true. That's really.
I mean, I would welcome a colleague to collaborate with. I do not look at a good colleague as competition. God bless a referral source I could have. I don't look at anybody as competition. I mean, I know what I do, and I know what I do well. And I don't know anybody that works as hard for their patients as I do.
You are consistently always, I can count that you're going to be working all day long. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you sustained it this long with the number of employees you have. I feel like you should have more employees, but that's a whole nother argument.
I'm really happy I have the two I have.
Oh, you are so lucky to have the two that you have for as long as you've. Jeannie's been around. You are so lucky to have her still after all this time. She's not allowed to leave, guys.
I know.
Not leave.
I know. And Suzanne is just
she seems like a gem.
So good. She's so good.
So I think that that's really valuable. Have counsel outside of your direct job. If you don't have that, start work. How can people develop that in your industry? Are there resources online? Are there groups that they can join even locally in Jacksonville? Where can people find that counsel if it's not directly available?
If you're talking about mental health specific, anybody could reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to talk to anybody. I wouldn't wish anybody to go through what I went through without having somebody to talk to and run things by. I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
How long did that take, that whole scenario to play out? Settlement? What was the length?
Oh gosh. It started it started in October, and I sent in my official letters to everybody. I started meeting with people saying this is what's going on, and then I sent in my official letters to everybody. The 1st of January, and which should have prompted them to say, let's see your documentation. Mm-hmm. And the 1st of February, they said, we're not going to renew your contract.
Oh, wow. That was fast.
Right. But they had me work until the end of July.
Huh.
Yeah.
That would have been a toxic work environment.
It was horrendous. It was horrendous. It was horrendous.
And then how much time until the settlement and you starting your own practice?
So during that, from the minute they came in and told me that they weren't going to renew my contract, that night I went home and printed up cards and started handing them out to patients. And actually, no. As soon as I turned in that letter, because I didn't know if they were just going to come in and take my key. Mm-hmm. And I said, if you come in and I'm not here, because their trick was to say, oh, she's gone, we don't know where she is. They did that with other clinicians that had left. A clinician left and the patient's like, so where'd Dr. So-and-so go? We don't know. So I said, if ever, you come in and I'm gone, email this address and I'll let you know where I am. So I printed up, 500 of those cards and
wow,
started handing those out. And then set about finding this office.
So then the settlement that they provided you, that was because they realized that they did something.
It was under the guise of severance, which they quote unquote never provided. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so it all happened pretty quickly then. I mean, you continuing to work there from February to July is just atrocious. I'm sure that just crawled by.
No, it was a very, very, it was glacial at the time.
But it wasn't some long drawn out legal battle where you're suing your employer. I mean,
no, it was just a matter of, them going back and forth and, us working out the wording of my
severance,
my departure, if you will.
The wording of my departure. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
How that, I can only imagine the office banter after you left. The water jug conversation.
Oh yeah, it was super fabulous before I left because that's just how great it was. It was wonderful.
Do you keep in contact with anyone from that time? Did you make any meaningful professional relationships from that experience? Because it's a shame because you truly had a lot of accolades that stem from that period in your career.
And that was one thing. It was one of the most isolating. I came from such a bastion of collegiality from the Texas Medical Center to there where I worked for 5 years and barely anybody at Baptist knew they had a child psychiatrist working there.
Oh, that's
terrible. I'm not exaggerating. No one knew a child psychiatrist was even on staff at Baptist. It was awful. And I was out at the beach by myself. Every day. So it was horrible.
You were still patient facing every day though, right?
Right. But I remember my first patient was 89 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great. I had a largely geriatric patient because I spent time with patients. They loved me. They all called me Becky and it was great. It was, so eventually I had to cull the old people because I eventually got kids and, had to get rid of the elderly because like I needed to open up some spaces for the kids.
To do what you were hired to do.
Right.
So how did that experience shape you positively today? Specifically, use specific examples of how it shaped you in your career today, but also as a person, personally.
I definitely learned to trust my gut. When something doesn't feel right, when something doesn't feel right, I address it immediately. I don't kind of let it fester. I have certainly learned that there's a whole lot more that I'm capable of than I ever believed.
Oh, for sure.
I think that I've learned that change, even when you don't think you want it, can be a really good thing for you.
Yes. That is the premise of this entire thing. Because I think a lot of failure is often greatly, incredibly positively correlated with massive, surprising, blindsiding change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And for me, it's definitely been really, while there's been a lot of work, there's also been just lots and lots of positive things that have come out of it. And I'm so grateful.
Yeah. Well, I'm grateful that you came on and you
Thank you.
Took time.
Thanks for having me.
We had some technical difficulties last night. So here we are today.
Thanks for your patience. Thank you so much for your patience.
After a day of Jeannie saving. Did Jeannie figure it out?
Of course she did.
What was wrong?
So apparently there's a setting on the iPad that says you can set your iPad to only store emails for a month. Who knew? Yeah. So, we fixed that. Now I've got 1,900 emails on the iPad.
How does she figure this shit out?
I don't know.
Did she get anything else done today?
Oh, she had that figured out in like 2 minutes.
She's so annoying.
She's so amazing. I know.
It's so annoying.
I know. Yeah, I think she might actually have a master's degree in IT and just no one else knows it. Yeah.
Yeah, she's blacked out and
I
doesn't recall.
Yeah,
I
think somebody might have imparted a doctorate or something to her and the computer sciences, and she just doesn't know it yet. But yeah, she's amazing. So
she is, and so are you. And thank you for being a part of the brainchild that is Failure Fridays and giving back to our community of entrepreneurs and people just starting out, or maybe the people that are established and are going through a major career change or falling on their face, and that's fine. And just thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. And I'm going to put your email because I'm guessing that's the preferred way of contact if somebody wants to reach out to you, Rebecca.
Sure. Sounds good.
Yep. And I'm also going to post her website. You can get a lot of information about Rebecca, her practice, and also contacting for an appointment or even mentorship, in addition to her email. And I will talk to you later. And I want to thank everybody for watching another episode of Failure Friday, and we'll see you here next week. Have a good night.
That's great. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.